Smith
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
Very excited for you guys to see Yona Smith on the show.
Excited to be here.
When is the last time before the show starts, Yona? When's the last time you were here?
I think it was a year ago.
It was a year ago?
Yeah.
Was it for the 4th of July?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I think it was a year ago.
Well, it's
I'm
great to have
super
you back.
excited to be here. Thank you for letting me come in
Oh, it's
and talk about patriotism again.
100% our pleasure. Keith Smith, before we start the show, how are you feeling?
I am feeling great. It's got my better 7/8, my everything next to me, and you guys across from me. I can't get any better than that. But I do have, before we go hot, I do have a very important question to ask everybody because it came up in our family gathering yesterday. So I was responsible for bringing the dessert, and I brought a carrot cake.
Carrot cake's delicious.
Well, it opened up a very heated debate about is carrot cake even considered a cake because it has a vegetable in it. I don't know. I think it is, but I got a ton of pushback.
Who said it wasn't a cake?
Yvonne and Houston and
What do
so-
they characterize it as?
anything but a cake.
Really?
Yeah.
But it has icing and
It has
sweet.
some sort of component to it that holds it
apparently,
together.
carrot cake is divisive.
I see that.
Apparently, it is divisive. Apparently, people either love it or they don't like it, and we were supposed to engage with my cake choosing decision.
We'll talk about carrot cake today on Real Talk with Keith Smith. Judah Wickower is behind the mic. We can start the program, Judah Wickower, when you are ready. Katie Pearl, welcome to the broadcast. Brittany Gray, hello. Thank you kindly
Hey,
for
Brittany.
joining us on the show. Rob Neal, hello. Thank you for joining us on the show. Viewers and listeners, share the show. Mark McKinney of the Crozet Advisory Committee. Michael Guthrie, hello. Lloyd Snook, hello. Dean Russell of the Mortgage Business, welcome to the show. Ginny Hu, Kyle Miller, Michael Pruitt, the supervisor, welcome to the show. Give the show a like and a share. Trip Stewart, the real estate investor. Stephanie Wells Rhodes of the Interstate Service Company family. Seth Liskey, the Stantonian real estate investor, hello. Judah Wickower, my friend, we are in your hands.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's great to be with you on the 5th of July, fresh off of Independence Day. We hope you enjoyed it with friends and family, and we hope you appreciated the significance of the holiday. This show, very excited for, Yona Smith is in the house. She's been monikered the Better 7/8 by the star of our show, Keith Smith. She is the principal broker, the managing broker of Yes Realty Partners? Supervising broker of Yes Realty Partners. She keeps everyone in line, and she does it in a classy way. And she is always welcome at this network. Judah Wickower, my friend, if you can go to the studio camera, and welcome Keith and Yona Smith on the 5th of July. My friends, good Friday
Good
morning.
Friday morning to you as well. It's so good to be back. It's been a while.
It's great to have you.
It's been a while. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for letting me come and chat.
We have
again.
to talk to the executive producer, see if he can do a better job of coming on.
That's a calendar schedule, right? It's a timing schedule, so no worries.
But yeah, so
That was Keith, by the way, the executive producer.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is one of my favorite shows. I love it when we do this at or around the 4th of July. We talk a lot about real estate and life and all this kind of great stuff. But yesterday we went to, as we've been doing, we've determined about 12 years in a row, right? About 12
It
years.
is 12 years in a row, yes, that we've gone.
So we go to the naturalization ceremony at Monticello, and for those who have never attended that, you should. It's an awesome experience. We figure about 2,000 folks there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the awesome things, and I'll let Yona jump in after this from her perspective, at the end, once it's all done, the judge asks whoever of the 74 new citizens to get up and talk and tell their story. And if you don't come to tears during that process, it's pretty heartwarming and inspirational.
It was an absolutely amazing ceremony again, and for us, it's always a good opportunity to be reminded how good of a country we really live in. You may want to say a lot going on and this, that, and the other thing, but
We're the best country in the
we're
world.
the best country in the world. We
Yeah.
really, truly are, and just the passion, the enthusiasm, the commitment that all of these folks have put forth in order to go ahead and do that journey, which is not an easy journey, mind you.
You've been through this, so talk about that.
Is always kind of gratifying. Is always saying, yeah, you did the right thing. It was not an easy journey for me as well. However, I would say it was probably an easier journey for me than it was for some of the other folks. Specifically, some of these countries that have obviously political unrest and people needed to flee the country, and there's 3 or 4 countries or 3 or 4 citizens that came from countries where they literally had to grab their bag, flee, and hopefully be a refugee and be welcomed by this nation, which is the United States, and with a good support of friends and folks that are really caring about that. They brought them to become U.S. citizens, and it's an amazing thing to see. And I think if there's anything I can learn from that is how lucky we are to be where we are, and we can do what we can do. So, 74 new citizens were naturalized yesterday. 35 different nations. It was an amazing experience just to see folks from former, communist countries speak, folks from African nations that have gone through quite a lot of changes, military coups and stuff like that. So it was just very interesting. At the same time, the whole atmosphere, even though it was rather hot, everybody stayed until the very end, and the ceremony took about 2 hours. I mean, the court was in session for about an hour and a half, and we had really very good interaction, and it's also good to see everybody come out and welcome them. So,
Logan Wells Claylow, thank you for watching the program.
Thank you, Logan.
Logan, we appreciate your support here. Did you find it rejuvenating? I mean, you touched on this briefly, and we don't talk about politics all in the program.
No, I did not.
At a time when it's a little crazy out there, did you find the experience rejuvenating?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that one of the Chief Justices actually spoke about that we as a nation have always gone through some sort of growing pain, and that hasn't changed. So I think it's probably more polarizing these days just because of the way it's being communicated and so forth. But the bottom line is that if we're open and able to not only communicate but be tolerant with each other to hear somebody else's opinion, it's a growing journey, At least we have the opportunity that we have free speech, At least we have the opportunity that we can make a difference, that we can vote. And, Keith knows my soapbox is you have the right to vote, the privilege to vote. If you want to change something, you should vote.
Or get involved.
Yeah. So I think that's a responsibility that we all should have, or at least I feel very strongly about. You have as a citizen, and the privilege that you've been given to go ahead and be part of this journey, But it's rejuvenating every time. Yeah.
Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro agrees with you. He says,
Yep.
Too many take it for granted,
Oh, yeah.
never having been denied basic rights.
Mm-hmm.
We're lucky to be here. He also has a little conversation or a little insight on the carrot cake conversation.
Yes.
He says if there's flour, eggs, and it's baked, that's a cake.
There you go. Thank you, brother. I agree.
He says that's a cake.
I got a ton of pushback from my...
We did. I mean, we also
it
found
was
out.
the weirdest-
We also found out that Yvonne doesn't like carrot cake. I had no idea.
After 30 years.
After 30 years, I had no idea. So now we know.
I thought I was doing a good thing. So it was interesting. There was somebody that became a U.S. citizen from Bulgaria.
Yep.
and a little bit about our story. We lived in Bulgaria first half of the 80s when it was communist during the Cold War. And this one particular woman got up to speak, and just to put it in a little perspective, right, each citizen in Bulgaria during communism was only allowed to have 1 liter of milk.
Huh.
Yes.
And it was a day.
A day.
And what her role was before she went to school, because the state-run grocery store opened up at 7 o'clock. Her and her grandmother would get in line at 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get her 1 liter of milk, so she could bring her 1 liter of milk home. And so they were. Just think about this, right? If we all freak out when there's a hurricane coming or snow or something like this, and everybody makes a run on milk. The government said you only could have 1 liter of milk. And, so, you would have to wait online with hundreds or tons of people. And we experienced this. We lived through this, right? So if you needed milk, that's what you did. You got online with the local folks to go ahead and get your 1 liter of milk. Now, we had diplomatic passports, which gave us some different privileges. But, to break it down, something as simple is if your wife needed to get milk for the family, she had to stand in line at 5 o'clock. Oh, by the way, you could stand in that until 7, and when they were out of milk for that day, you were out of luck, right? Strawberries was a big thing.
Do you remember the whisper? There was a whisper.
That's
there's
right.
a daily whisper in the morning between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning that, somebody has seen somewhere in the neighborhood, somewhere in the outskirts, that
There were strawberries.
there's strawberries or bananas.
Yeah.
So everybody went there, obviously. But there again, these are sort of experiences I guess you need to
Live 'em.
You need to really live them, yeah. And I think, coming back to your question, so these are sort of the things that you're being reminded of when you hear these folks tell their stories. And they're passionate. I mean, just thinking about it gives me chills. We were crying yesterday.
Yeah, people were
people were
crying.
crying just because of the fact that the endurance, the courage, the grit to somebody say, hey, I'm packing up all my stuff. I mean, just imagine packing all my stuff and I'm just leaving this country. And this lady said at the very end, she says, I'm not going back to this country. I'm staying here. This is my new home. Remember that?
I'm trying to remember which country
She was from Ghana.
Yeah.
Ghana?
Ghana, yeah.
It's beautiful.
So,
Yeah. By the way, Ghana and Guatemala
Uh-huh.
are sister cities of Charlottesville.
Huh?
Yeah, so I found that out
I knew
yesterday
Ghana. I
too.
did not know Guatemala.
Yeah, Guatemala, and they used to be also Pleven in
Plovdiv.
Bulgaria. No, it was Pleven.
Pleven was it Pleven?
Pleven in Bulgaria, but
Just got corrected.
they for
Or
whatever
sister
reason,
city.
they haven't connected recently.
But I've never really, I'm going to say this publicly. I know I probably have told you this over the years, but just think about this. Yona was on the track, and she's going to be humble and not say this, but she was on the track to become, she was on the ambassador's track, right? She was on the Austrian State Department. She was on the track to do that. You were second in charge in and she's funny.
God keeps some.
But she ended up
keeps some stuff strict.
falling in love with me, marrying me. I had no money, no job, no nothing. We were moving out of it. She left our whole country, left everything that she had to come live with some jarhead, some Marine. And 39 years later, we're celebrating 39 years together.
That's amazing.
If I can give that back, what I've experienced, I call this my Rhapsody in Blue journey. You know the story, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my Rhapsody in Blue journey. Colors
So it wasn't
aside.
my Marine uniform?
It was you. That's
Okay.
truly it was, absolutely. But it's just, for instance, so the new CEO of the Thomas Jefferson Foundation also spoke. So they had a change about a year ago or so, and his father, at the age of 91, was naturalized at Monticello probably 30, 40 years ago, and he was in the audience. I mean, so just
circle.
tying this in,
Yeah.
last year Jim Ryan spoke and
Which was
shared his story. about
Being adopted.
being adopted, and kind of have this. So
I didn't know Jim Ryan was adopted.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he did not know until. I guess
Just recently,
just
last couple of years, who his
he did
birth
not
parents
know
were.
about that, and he
Wow.
actually had the opportunity.
Hey, look at that. You come to these things, you learn all
I didn't know
kinds of
that at
stuff.
all.
Had the opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
there was not a dry eye in the audience after
Yeah.
he told that story. But just
Well, he was adopted by
he was
immigrants.
adopted by immigrants and did not meet his natural mother. Until about
I think
his biological
his
mother.
biological mother.
5 or 6 years ago. I may be misquoting some timelines here.
It was recent.
But there again, so that's an opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that something?
Woody Fincham says the lovely Yona Smith.
Oh, so good to see you. Hi,
Woody,
Woody.
watching the program
Thank you.
right now. Woody Fincham, we love when you watch
Thank
the
you.
show.
Absolutely.
A
Thank
number
you.
of your colleagues watching the show. Nate Kibler,
Yep.
welcome to the broadcast. Thank you, Nate. We love what you're doing here on this network. Ricardo Cruz Duran watching the program.
Thank you.
Kyle Irvin from the communications office here at Charlottesville Police Department. Thank you kindly for watching the show.
Thank you.
Liza Borges, hello.
Thank you.
A lot we want to cover on the program, but we want to reflect on the time that is the 4th of July, its significance, and what you guys do with this show every year. I find inspiring. I find myself in need of inspiring when it comes to patriotism from time to time for obvious reasons.
It's hard.
It's hard.
But the 4th of July always brings me back, always seems to center me. This show always centers me, inspires me. So I want to say thank you to you guys.
Thank you. No, I do feel that if we are able to communicate that, there was one statement in the one of the speeches. I think the Chief Justice said this, right? Don't give up on this country. Love this country. And it's just it's when you love somebody, it's not easy, right? So you have to go through the ups and downs and the challenges and the whatnots. Not in our marriage. I know it's been a bliss. It's a bliss all day long. But just take it for really what it is and try to go ahead and put it in perspective. And I have to tell you, I do try to live my day like that. So what difference can I make? What part of the community can I go ahead and be more powerful? Not powerful, that's probably not the right word, but be kind and tolerant. How about that? Because I think that's what it boils down to.
Very well said.
Right?
Very well said.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about attending this every year is you look around the audience, right? There's 2,000 people there at 90-something degrees. It was hotter than Hades. Hades there, right? But
It was warm.
all different races, ethnicities, socioeconomic. You could just look around the space and tell out there, and everybody was there to celebrate 74 new Americans and listen to their stories and listen to where they came from. And I say this year, this is our 6th year in a row we've done this show, this 4th of July show. If you need a shot in the arm, what it is to be an American, truly what it means to be an American, next year, hop on a bus at PBC. It's free. Go up there, listen to these stories, listen to these people, and if you don't walk away from there inspired, then we've got a little bit more work to do. But it's inspiring to listen to these stories.
Kevin Higgins in Greenwood says, I think people are made in that line for hours waiting to get milk. He appreciated your story. It's so hard, but if you step back, you see the strength of people. It's absolutely incredible. I appreciate that comment from Mr. Higgins, and I appreciate his support. He says, this from Mr. Yancey, 6 degrees of separation. My wife's co-worker's husband was an immigrant doing it the right way, to 10 years and $70,000 to lawyers just to be able to become a U.S. citizen.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
It took, 20 years.
20 years. And
You should tell, I love this, tell that story.
I have to tell you, so I'm trying to paraphrase it in a short version. I mean, it was not up until 2003, 2004 that we really made the decision to go ahead, or I made the decision to really go ahead and apply for the U.S. citizenship for many reasons. But I think one of the reasons truly is we went through, and I could not have done this without Keith. I mean, getting your green card is about as difficult as becoming a U.S. citizen. And obviously a lot has changed since the since 2001 as far as security and so forth is concerned. So I was really hesitant in really jumping into the arena because they wanted to know everything and anything and everywhere and whatnot says. But the long story short was we applied 2003 for the first time coming out of September 11th. We did anticipate that this is going to be really, really, really difficult. I mean, you talk paperwork, lots of paperwork. Anyway, so we submitted that, and we didn't hear from them about 3 to 6 months, and they basically lost my application.
What?
Yes, nowhere to be found. Never acknowledged the fact that they was there. So needless to say, so setback. Then I said to Keith, okay, we're going to do this differently. I have no idea exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to have to hire an attorney. Very good, very, very renowned attorney here in Charlottesville.
Who specializes in this?
Specializes in that immigration law. And I told Keith right at the beginning, I said, this man charges $550 an hour. Do not speak. I said, please do not speak.
Keith talks. That's
So,
what,
but
he's
anyway.
great on a talk show.
I was
He's
not
great in
al-
every aspect of his life.
I was not allowed to say anything.
But anyway, it took him 8 months.
Get out.
8 months.
What's the cost? Can I ask
We spent, what, $7,000? $7,000.
And we're blessed to go do this. Part of the problem is Yona was born in Beirut,
Yeah, yes.
right? Doesn't have her original birth certificate
No.
because she was born in an American hospital that got bombed, so she doesn't have her thing. And she lived behind the Iron Curtain for a bunch of time. So, you know,
I was suspicious.
she was suspicious. She was the communist terrorist.
You look very suspicious to me. Your
But-
daughter's watching.
Woman power,
Your
what can I
daughter's
say?
listening while running with Ray right now.
Oh,
Nice, really.
she needs to run off that carrot cake that she ate
The
last
carrot
night.
cake. By the way, they
I think that's
busted
a cake. It's a cake.
They bust my chops about that, but guess who ate the damn thing?
Houston?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you said your daughter didn't like the carrot
She
cake,
ate it.
so it wasn't her.
She ate it, but
Okay.
I was admonished, let's say, for bringing
Well,
a
we're
carrot cake.
gonna ask you.
And then
for-
I said, well, then I could have brought a cheesecake, and then I got pushed back for that.
Cheesecake is delicious.
Well, the whole New Yorker in me went, yeah, that's never going to happen. So we're going to get cheesecake.
But anyway, so I finally got the approval, and it just literally, I mean, how fate has it and life has it. I was supposed to be actually naturalized at Monticello that particular year in 2005. However, my father fell really, really ill. And so I had to go ahead and we had to make that change really fast because
And
what
we were
happens...
worried about waiting
Yeah,
because-
because I have no passport, right? So I can leave the country, but I can't come back, right? So we sped it up, and I was naturalized on February 13th, 2005 at the...
third happiest day in your life? Fourth happiest?
Oh,
I would imagine
don't put me
the
on the
birth of
spot.
your daughters,
Don't
the
put
wedding
me
to
on the
Keith.
spot. Don't put me on the spot. I have so many beautiful blessings.
You do have beautiful blessings. Andre Xavier,
I
hello.
was
Thank you
fishing
for watching
a
the show.
compliment, honey.
No, this is...
You know?
I think we know that. We know that, Keith. We know that.
I mean, it wasn't original?
Oh, I love this show so much. Do you guys want to talk some market trends? We got a slide for you. How about this comment's come in? Before he got the final approval, the last step was he had to go back to his home country, Honduras. 30 days in his home country to make sure he wasn't a wanted person. He had to basically hide for 30 days because if they
Wow.
found him, they would have held him for ransom. They know how much it costs, so they have to have money. That's to get back to the U.S.
Yeah,
as a citizen. Unbelievable.
100%. And again, when you listen to these stories,
I did not know that.
when you listen to these stories, you just think how blessed you are.
100%.
And again, I can't say this enough. It's a great afternoon, other than put on some suntan lotion and
And a hat.
bring a hat or something.
hat.
But getting to listening to those stories is what it's all about.
I think if there's anything else to say about that is also, we are a fabric of immigrants,
Oh,
right?
we're all immigrants.
So just the fact that there's 45 million immigrants, and I'm part of these 45 million, right, in this country, out of 350. So think about that. What we are able, not only to bring and,
And
share.
that's current immigrants.
That's
These
current
are
immigrants
not
in status.
like my mother's parents came from overseas,
Yep.
right? Are immigrants, right? So
Yeah.
we're all talking about 6 degrees of separation. It's not even that deep. In that we all have some sort of immigrant. Your parents are Cuban, right? That, you
My
know,
mom is.
right?
Yeah.
Mom is,
Yep.
is Cuban, right? And she came from Cuba, right?
She did.
Yeah.
3rd grade.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're first generation on your mother's side
100%.
on that.
My brother and I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, you know, just think about that.
Yep. It's amazing.
Pretty awesome.
But anyway, I think I can talk about this all day long. So, what do you guys want to talk about?
Well, he's got a slide for us.
You got a
Shoot.
slide?
I'm
Okay.
still on this carrot cake thing, but
Oh, jeez.
apparently I got to
Okay.
move on.
The market is strong.
Busy.
Right?
It's busy.
Yes, Realty Partners are humming.
We're busy. Yeah, we're very fortunate. Seeing really this interesting shift from, I would say, a combination of folks who are just basically saying, you know, I do need to move. I want to move.
Uh-huh.
I don't care what the interest rates is. I need to stay in the market. I need to go ahead and be intentional about it and make it happen. We do see the seller reluctances and the seller's expectations. It's getting better. Let me
Okay.
put it this way. So we are able to.
Seller expectations, put that in perspective. What do you mean it's getting better?
I think more being more in tune with the market.
Okay.
I think that is becoming a little bit more realistic, that even though we are in a low inventory market, we still need to, you know, consider the fact that it costs more money. And I think that what we are seeing is that the level of frustration for some of these first-time home buyers, I really do feel for them. We worked with them, quite many of them. I think it comes back down to the teamwork that I've been speaking about for many, many years, that we are part of this team and we're going to try to see this process through the best we can. Market prediction is really hard to predict anything at the moment, perfectly honest with you. We have, at this particular moment, I can tell you, we've been the busiest this summer than we've been, since 2021, I want to say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing.
busy. I mean, the phones have been ringing off the hook regardless of if it has 100 degrees outside or not. So that's a good sign. A little concerned about affordability, but I think this is probably something more that Keith wants to speak to. But there's going to be some folks who are just probably not going to be able to buy.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating, you know. And
For people who want to help people,
yep,
it is very difficult, right?
yeah, it's challenging.
And you need to really bring skills and compassion and empathy to the table. But just to talk about the slide real quick, Jude, if you don't mind putting up that slide I put together this morning. And I did this on purpose because what I wanted to look at was first half of the year, what our sales volume was. This is the full car footprint. So Kevin, it's not the other side of the hill. It's just the 6 jurisdictions that are part of the Charlottesville Association of Realtors. Don, I did it right.
Yes.
Nice job.
Christelle, welcome to the show.
So we are literally at, and we've been talking about this, Jerry and I, for quite some time. We are literally at the same sales volume as 2016. So this is...
That's what it feels like, yeah.
That's exactly right. So as far as volume goes, it feels... So that is, we're 9 years into this, right? If you count 2016 as the first half of the year, all the way up to the completion of this year, we're total of 9 years. So we are literally back to what the sales volume was for 9 years. That being said, the median sales price is 70% up in 9 years. So back in 2000,
That's unbelievable.
The
That
median
is
sales
amazing.
price
That's
was
unbelievable.
so the frustration is we've got 2016 sales volume, right? And then we're dealing with a 70% increase, which is great when you bought in 2016.
Just wanted to say, it gives you a good equity position, depending on how you bought it. And
But today, right, and I haven't had a chance to take a look at what the interest rates were in 2016. My suspicion is it's probably somewhere between 4 to 5%.
I think it was in the high fives, but I'm maybe
so
wrong on that.
what do you make of that, Yona?
I think this is truly what we're experiencing on a daily basis. Seriously. I mean, I did not know that the numbers were that close. I do know that just from the fact what buyers are looking for and buyers were hoping to achieve, I can see where that problem is lying, that just they're pushed out of the market.
Some folks say the most unaffordable time in American history right now to buy a house. This past October was officially the most unaffordable time.
Oh, yeah.
And the metrics are quite similar to October.
Yeah. I can tell you September, if I remember correctly, right, September wasn't that the month with the interest rates were the highest?
October.
October was the
Yeah.
month. Okay.
October 2023.
I mean, it was a standstill. It was an absolute standstill.
So our high point, no big surprise, was 2021.
Yeah, naturally.
That was 2,000.
A turkey can fly in a hurricane.
A turkey can fly in a hurricane. It's 2,524. We're now at 1,736, and in my
It's the same
handy
thing.
dandy percentage difference calculator, which
Oh, boy, we have now.
because I was corrected on some of my percentages, because I got
That's
them
okay.
reversed
That's okay.
on that. 773 is a 31.259999 decrease over 2,524. So that's part of my percentage calculator. So we are up from 16 to now, we're up 70%, but we're down in volume from a peak of 25, 24, and 2021 by roughly 31, 32%.
But that also includes new construction.
That's
right?
everything.
Okay.
New construction,
Yeah.
townhomes,
Yeah.
condos. This is just a big picture on that. And you know, this is why, and I've been saying it all along, this is when the pros show up, right? And there's a ton of pros that are watching and listening to the show that are in our industry. And you know, we are like the guide that's going to guide you through this particular process. So you know.
I always say it, and I think you heard me say this often, right? It truly is a teamwork effort. And how many touches do we need? There's 24 people on an average involved in a transaction.
And that's grown, right? It never used
And
to
that
be
has
that.
grown quite a bit, obviously, between appraisers and title insurance companies and home inspectors and all this good stuff. So 24 people are part of this journey that you're on. That in itself is just something that I don't know if too many people know
Folks
about
can
that.
appreciate
Or
or understand.
Yeah, right? So I'm always surprised when somebody says, you know, I'd like to do this by myself. And obviously we want to try to go ahead and see how we can be of assistance. However, I said, well, let me know how this works out for you. Because it's easier said than done.
Sure.
Especially in the market that we're in right now, right? At the same time, though, I think we as professionals, and you know, that's one of the things that I'm hoping that I can communicate, is we as professionals also have a responsibility that we do anything and everything in our power to make sure that their client is served up to whatever they need.
So
In order to appreciate the value that we bring to the
That you
table,
provide.
that we provide, and
Yeah.
at the same time, we are the advocate. It's like a marriage, in a sense, right? It's a short-term marriage, you want to call it, but there's a lot of trust that needs to be, you know, kind of established and honed. And somebody said to me the other day, I went to a listing presentation, and he's a funny guy. He has a good sense of humor. His business is all about pumping septic systems and all this good stuff. So I used the analogy. I said, look, how would you think, or how would you feel if I was to go ahead and show up at your doorstep one day and say, well, I'm going to pump out your septic tank? How would you feel about that? And he laughed and said, well, same analogy here. I know it's probably a little bit less stinky, but at the same time, it's the same here. It's a professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more than ever, I think, especially in the market that we're in right now, I think it is absolutely important for us to really communicate that, to make sure that people are taken care of and they feel that they're taken care of.
So We're at 2016.
Oh, okay. Go back to that.
Well, no, we're at 2016.
Yep.
Units sold at this
Units
point.
sold. Units sold. We are, I can't do the math. We're like 20 units, 15
23
units.
units different.
Look at that. 23 units different. Same 6 months. What do you think the second 6 months is going to look like? And do you think when we have the show next year and we add 2025 to that, is it going to get better? Is it going to stay? Because back to your comment about we're trying to help people, we look at ourselves as therapists more than salespeople. So what are we going to tell people?
I'll jump in. How was the remainder of 2016 from an inventory sold standpoint? The back half of 2016. Do you have those numbers?
No, but while Yona and you talk, I will get them for
Like
you.
I'm curious.
That's a great.
I'm curious if the back half of 2016
That's a great-
was the same amount of units. Was it less units?
Did we have an election year in 2016? We did not.
That I can't.
Believe me.
No, wait a
we
minute.
did.
2020,
We did.
2016.
Yeah, every 4 years.
So again, I really don't
Yeah, that
buy
was-
into
that was-
this.
That was Trump's first election, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's an interesting twist, by the way.
again,
Well, I mean, we
I'm not
saw-
I'm not politicizing any of this.
Yep.
So, but I think the affordability curve, I think will largely depend on. I don't care who
You're
gets
talking
elected.
about rates now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will largely depend on. Didn't we read something this morning about the GDP?
The economy added 206,000 jobs in June. Unemployment rose to 4.1%.
Yeah.
They're talking literally on the CNBC television that we have on in the studio here, potentially September, October for a rate cut.
Yeah.
Oh God, we've heard this since,
Oh, we've heard
since
it forever?
last year.
It's
We've
just a
heard this since
talking point
last
for
year.
everybody, yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't even buy into this.
I was having this conversation yesterday on the 4th of July.
Okay.
Even if rates get cut, I'm not sure that's going to do anything to affordability.
And I would agree with you on
It's
that.
just going to create more buyers, greater demand, and we could have more competition for the limited inventory that's out there.
Absolutely, and I would agree with that statement. So I think more and more it is our job to go ahead and make sure that the expectations are set up correctly, and at the same time also encourage some of these seller folks to put their home on the market, especially with the ones that have equity positions.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Go ahead.
The second half of,
I think it was.
we're looking at 16, right?
2016.
The second half
Yeah.
of 16 was 1,877 sales.
1877. So it was stronger the second half of 2016 than the first half.
Correct. I would be curious to see what just out of curiosity, hold on a second, we'll do 23.
I don't think the second half of, I'm just one man's opinion here, I don't think the second half of 2024 is going to be stronger than the first half of 2024.
So
I would agree to a certain extent with you.
so the second half of 23
Of
was,
2023,
yeah, was 1781.
1781, so
So-
you had a dip.
We had a dip. So look,
I think it's going to be humming along just like that. I really don't think it's going to be. We're not going to set the world on fire.
we were talking about this morning on our walk. I'm of the opinion the only way we're going to go ahead and kind of increase inventory is to increase new construction, to increase new product. And I didn't do the numbers, but I could do that for a future show. The proof in the pudding is looking at attached product in Albemarle County. It's actually stabilized a little bit more in the last couple of years on price point. It's increasing, but not at the higher rates than the detached because there's more being built.
You see more coming out of the ground. Absolutely.
Yes. So, I mean, how are we going to get ourselves out of this, or do we?
Get out of what?
This
Some,
inventory.
some would say this.
Or is it a problem?
Some would say this is a healthy market. Some would say, Keith, from 2016, the median average for a home sold was 275,000 in the car footprint.
If you
In
take
2024, the median average is 465,000. That's a massive appreciation.
70%.
That shows a strong economy. That shows a strong housing ecosystem.
Which, by the way, is reflective of the nation, right?
Yeah,
On the national level, we're saying the same
100%.
thing.
Right?
So
So
what
I think it's a matter of the expectation.
so what
what
we're
is the
saying.
How you look at the piece of art is what we're talking about.
so
Everyone
what-
looks at it differently.
Yeah, so what we're saying is unless you can afford $465,000 as a median sales price at the moment, that number's just going to go up.
100%.
Then you can't buy in this market.
Well, there was an article in the Daily Progress last week, maybe early this week, that the pressure in Stanton, Augusta, and Waynesboro, downward pressure,
Oh, yeah.
is starting to mount.
So
for
define
folks
downward
looking-
pressure for me.
What we're seeing here is folks priced out of the car footprint
Yeah, yeah.
because of this number, 465,000.
They're going
And
up.
as they're priced out right, they're going to Augusta,
Augusta.
Waynesboro, and Stanton. And the folks that are going to Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton are going with Charlottesville salaries
Correct.
to Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton. And they are now driving that housing ecosystem northward price-wise. And then the buyer of Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton is now having to compete. So this gentrification, this momentum is carrying over across the mountain.
And it's been doing that for a while.
So I do also believe, though, what we have seen here in Charlottesville, and I do agree with you to a certain extent, and I disagree with you to a certain extent. So the agreeing is yes, if somebody, especially a first-time home buyer, is looking to make that jump into homeownership, yeah, depending on their financial situation and depending on what their goals are, yes, obviously, they would probably consider with a salary in Charlottesville salary to go across the mountain. However, what we have seen, I would say over the past 6 to 9 months, is more and more of this kind of multi-generational
Yeah. Well,
coming together. Mom and dad sold their home, have a ton of equity, are willing to go ahead and put that amount into a home that can actually serve multi-families. That's what multi-generations. So that's what I'm saying more and more. And honest with you, that's probably how I look at it is probably one of the better options for somebody to really still be in their Charlottesville footprint, enjoy what they have, and at the same time grow with it, right? So they can then also take advantage of the appreciation that is going on in Charlottesville.
Some call that a house hack. I've seen that as well.
well, we're doing it. We're personally doing it, right?
I don't like the word house hack. That sounds a little harsh.
About a house strategy or solution?
I think a solution is probably
Okay.
a little bit Jake
Well,
Love
14 to 15% of all
Yeah.
sales of last year, according to NAR, National Association of Realtors, were multi-generational
Generational.
purchases. We're
Yep.
we're in the middle of doing this ourselves.
Yeah.
We're working on putting an attached auxiliary dwelling unit to our home. We're blessed enough.
Hopefully,
we're
yeah.
blessed enough to do this
For your parents?
For my parents,
Yeah.
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 You know,
Hopefully, yeah.
Because
We can
they-
When
build
could
it.
that crack route?
sorry.
When could that crack route?
We probably got fallish or so. We got a couple months of planning,
Yeah.
design work, and
That's exciting.
budgeting. Yeah, and we're blessed to do this. The reality of it is, out in Fulvana County, and I don't want to give too much of my family's personal information out, but to make a very long story short, I'm going to push back on all this stuff. So here's a couple that's been living in Fulvana County since 88, 89, right?
Yeah.
Around 88,
Roughly
89.
about the same time.
89 on that stuff. They're retirees. They can't afford to sell the home that they're in and buy something that meets their needs and stay in Fulvana County. Period. End of story. Doesn't exist. And if it does exist, it's at a price point that 280 mid-80s folks can't afford. We're blessed so they can come live with us. But where is that person going to go, right? Where is that that they don't have a Keith and Yona? And we deal with this every day, right? It's one of the reasons we're late today. We're helping a woman that had to go to a nursing home. Husband died, couldn't take care of their house, right? And we're trying to manage it so that we can get this woman as much money as she could possibly get out of that, so she can live the rest of her life out and has whatever comfort that she can live. There are at least a half a dozen folks we're in that process right now. So if in Fluvanna County, and I'm just going to say this, and I've said this to my dear, actually he wasn't on the board at the time, my dear friend Chris Fairchild, if they would have approved
Is this the over 50 project?
Exactly right. If
Yeah.
they would have approved across from the main gate,
Yeah.
an apartment building that was over 55, that would have been 60% AMI on it, put on by the Methodist Church. The Methodist Church was building this on it. It got shot down, didn't get rezoned. We would have had an option to say, assuming it was availability, saying, okay, mom and dad, let's sell your house, we'll cash out, this is what you can have, and this is a great opportunity, you can move in here, it's an elevated building, it has services, so there is zero ability in the county of Fluvanna for that. And if you take a look at it, and this is a reality for
It
us,
is.
right? Mrs. West, another client, all these homes that we built over these decades, hundreds and hundreds of homes, these people are now getting into this age of life.
Yeah. But they
And
have to make a decision, transition. They're
They're
transitioning into
transitioning
the
in
next.
their life and where they want to go. And we're trying to help them, and we don't have a lot of options to help them. So there you go. That's my soapbox.
I appreciate that. 90% plus of revenue for the Fluvanna budget comes from taxes,
97%.
taxes on homes.
I-
97% of Fluvanna's budget,
96, 95.
taxes on homes.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, yeah.
You know me, I'm trying to be pretty neutral
I-
in that sense, but it is frustrating and it's aggravating to a certain
So
extent.
back to the other side of the hill, medium
Yes.
sales price year to date's 304.
We should start tracking that.
We should start tracking that. So it's 304.
And I try to emphasize this on the show. We still have, depending on who you ask, 800 to 1,200 jobs coming to the area tied to the Amazon. $11 billion in Louisa.
So
We haven't seen the UVA Data Science School at full
And-
clip. We haven't seen Northrop Grumman's new $300 million facility at full clip.
Who was that article you sent me from? Where's that from this morning?
Haven't seen the biotech impact.
You
Paul
mean
Manning's Institute?
The Guardian. The Guardian.
I mean, we're probably looking at somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000 new people coming to the area, guys.
I know I'm going to get myself in trouble when I say that. So just,
Not just me.
prefacing that,
Politico it was.
Louisa County did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
at staying ahead of it.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean,
Yeah, but they're capped out.
Not necessarily.
Spring Creek? My God.
600
Keith.
some lots in Spring
I
Creek
got
still
that. I got that.
to develop.
Spring
But to
Creek,
get
yeah.
volume of people that you're talking about,
Yeah.
there's just no ways to go. That
I think the people that I'm talking about, I think you just use a roundabout number, 6,000 to 8,000 people come to the area. Those 6,000 to 8,000 people come to
dollar.
the area are easily deep six-figure people coming to the area. They're going to move to Central Virginia. They're going to move to Albemarle and Charlottesville. They're just going to push 6,000 to 8,000 other people and families out of Charlottesville and Albemarle
and
County.
these are the service folks that service. It's a.
And it, yeah.
Go ahead, answer. Say what's on your mind, babe.
I think when you drive to Richmond, you see how much closer Richmond and Charlottesville actually are becoming now, and I think that's also probably going to be an avenue where folks are going to have to go.
Because
Right?
Richmond has inventory,
They do have inventory.
more affordable inventory than here.
I don't know about
Not
that. It
anymore.
depends. It
Depends on where you're at in Richmond.
Depends on
Yeah,
where
it's
you
true.
are in
Certainly
Richmond.
not the West End.
That is
No,
true.
no,
Yeah.
definitely not. But I can tell you, even some areas in Greene County are not that reasonable anymore. I mean, you're going to have to be
Well,
prepared.
Greene County, I believe, is at 4. I can look at it.
Well,
is
wait
over
till
4.
the Rivanna Futures, the land that Albemarle County purchased from Wendell Wood on the Albemarle County Greene County line. Wait till that project gets developed. You're going to start seeing an influx of people to Greene. Rob Neal has this
Yes.
on what Keith was saying, and Rob is in the real estate private equity space. Missed opportunity for the Fluvanna County to house residents and not tax the schools and even not tax the roads much.
Yeah.
I
Will
can-
encumber first responder servicer needs, but retirees are great for the bottom line of the locality.
So I'll add a little bit to that. Lake Monticello Fire Department was gifted 2 acres on that same road, and they're working on building a firehouse on that side of Lake Monticello. So if that was the case, the proximity is actually pretty close. There's a human resource thing. I mean, getting a hold of volunteers to go ahead and volunteer is always difficult on that. But the Politico article Yona sent me this morning to read about this very topic was about what we've been talking about. They're basically talking this inventory crunch is a minimal of a decade before we even start seeing the other side of it, but it's going to put a ton of pressure on it. I'm going to take a look at what the median sales price in 2023 was on the other side of the hill.
Well, they're also trying to infuse some of the economy with some additional, I would say, options as far as funding and loan programs and stuff like that. They have committed to what, $300 million over the next 10 years, I believe.
Yeah,
as
so
far as
that's at the
infusion into federal
That's
money.
at the federal level, and
yeah.
believe me, as somebody who sits on multiple boards, getting that federal money to get down to the ground is freaking super difficult to make happen. If you're counting on federal money to make this work, it's not going to work. Same period last year, other side of the hill, this is Augusta, Waynesboro and Stanton, this is everything. This is new construction, townhomes, detached. There's not a lot of condos, but I put that in anywhere, is $300,000. So it jumped about $4,000 or $5,000 over a year, which I haven't done the percentage with, which is stabilized. And why is that? Because when I break that down, you're starting to see a ton of new construction, which is stabilizing the prices, and that's where I'm starting to look to. I talked about Albemarle County because Albemarle County has 80 or 90% of all the attached product being built, new construction attached product being built. Very few of that's being built outside of Albemarle County in the car footprint, and they it's stabilized. The prices are stabilized. So. But to your point, Jerry, they're just going to drive till they qualify, or what did we say, fly till they qualify at this particular point? It's just, when does it stop?
When's it stop? Student body UVA enrollment's increasing. 6,000 to 8,000 additional people coming to the area. The opportunity to work hybrid or remote. Bloomberg called the Charlottesville area a top 20 in the nation community to work hybrid or remote. I mean, there's pressures from every side. But from a real estate standpoint, this is a real estate show. From a realtor standpoint, could you be doing more revenue for less deals as the price goes up?
Yes and no.
Yes and
1, 2, 3 for luck is mine. I can let you answer.
You go ahead.
No, you'll let
Smith.
you answer.
No, yeah, that could be the case, but the pressure on how we get paid and how much our percentages that we get paid is more now than it was back then. But in theory, the higher the deal, the more money you make, that kind of thing. It's also a little bit more work to go through it, but that's
remember
that
24
is true.
touches, and that doesn't change if it's
$1 million
$200,000 or $10
$100
million.
yeah.
Would you say it's more difficult today to do a deal than it was in 2016?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yona, put that in perspective.
I have to tell you honestly, the
Joseph
journey
Gentile.
How's it going, brother?
the journey that we are on is, first of all, a relearning journey, right? So
But it's always changing.
it's always changing in a sense that you learn something new every day. So that's how I look at that. 2016, I think the opportunities as far as what we can potentially offer our buyers was definitely far better position.
We have to take it into historical context, right? We were not that far out of the time of great unpleasantness, right?
That is true. Yeah, well, 2009, 7 years.
2016, the memory of 2008, 9, 10, 11 and 12, right? We were still eating through foreclosures and eating through some unpleasant stuff.
So it was probably,
in
that sense, it was
2016.
probably a little bit different of a market. However, I guess the need for somebody to purchase a home, or the desire for first-time home ownership, was still as high as it is today. I think it's just different today.
Other
Just
side of
because-
the hill in 2016, the medium sales price, again, same 3 jurisdictions, new construction, everything, right, was 173. I rounded it up. It's now like 304 or 800 or something. So let's call it 305. We are a 76% increase. So it's increased 76% on the other side of the hill versus 70 on this side of the hill. That being said, the other side of the hill is more affordable, right? We're still at this 300,000 plus or minus, where over here we're $165,000 more.
More.
We're around
Yeah.
465 on
Yeah.
that end of it.
Viewers and
So-
listeners, this is a master class on real estate. What's
I
the
love
advice
it.
you give to your colleagues watching the program for the back half of the year?
Just keep on going.
Patience.
Patience.
Professionalism,
Yeah, keep on professionalism. Learn as much as you can about your clients. Learn as much as you can on how you can get engaged, involved, learn
You
to
got in-
communicate. So I'm very hopeful, to be honest with you. I'm obviously the firestorm. There's a lot of firestorm going on in our industry as we speak. However, this is always also a good opportunity for us to kind of reestablish and rejuvenate our values and our profession, and really try to be what we are saying we are. We are advocates for our clients, and we are going to be helping them make the biggest financial decision of their lifetime, or even the second time or third time. But be involved and be truly what we're being hired to do, to help them on their journey to homeownership. So just keep. I tell everybody, I said, if there was no challenges, there were no opportunities, right? This is an opportunity. Jump into it. There's the four G's as far as your level of commitment is concerned. I heard this the other day from Guy Kawasaki. He's the CEO of Canva.
Yep, former
Right.
chief evangelist of Apple.
Apple.
Yeah.
He talked about Steve Jobs and gave the interview, gave sort of the behind the scenes on. Everybody had the impression Steve Jobs went on stage and spoke and charismatic and all that stuff, but what nobody really didn't see was the behind the scene on how long he prepared for this, painstakingly prepared for that. So we need to do the same thing. We need to be prepared
So
for
what's
that.
the G's?
Growth mindset, grit, grace,
Mm-hmm.
and gratitude.
Here it is.
And that's truly,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's really truly what you, if you can live by these four principles, you're good to go.
So back to the question about what advice we can give some new agents. So as you guys were chatting, I just did some quick numbers, just strictly talking about volume. The jump from 2020 to 2021 was 30%. And volume of sales, if you don't mind putting slide one back up again, Jude, I'd appreciate it. We went from 1940 to 2524. If you
It's
take a
huge
look
jump.
at that slide, it's this huge jump. Right,
Yeah.
and then from 2021 to now, it's been this steady slide down. We flattened out a little bit between 23 and 24, which may be a great sign. But here's the deal: if you got into the business somewhere between 2020 and 2022, look for somebody who's been in the business since 2016 and before. Somebody generally with a little bit of gray hair. Right?
I think that's a very good advice.
Right?
That's very
And
good
say,
advice.
so how
yeah.
was it done there? Because when you, back to your turkey can fly in the wind,
Turkey can fly in a hurricane.
in a hurricane, thank you. So back in 2021, yes,
skill set.
transactions are difficult, transactions are hard, but it wasn't that hard, right? You can fall off, it was like falling off of a log. It's not that hard to do, right? But now it's difficult, and you have to take time to communicate with your client and talk to your client and make sure you understand what their needs are. And you have to ask the hard questions. And some people don't like asking tough questions, but you got to ask the tough questions. And each tough question is different, right? Based on what your seller's goals and objectives are and your buyer's goals and objectives are. But you've got to be able to have that.
Plus an education. I mean, you have to really be prepared to educate, right? Because there's so much misinformation out there here at the moment that you really need to educate more than inform, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and calm the storm by really trying to focus on, so what are you trying to go ahead and achieve? What is your goal? How can we help you to get there? But this is a very good analogy to go ahead and lean into the experience of, 7 years, 8 years, and see.
Well, if you count the full 6
six-
months, it's
6
9
months.
6-month blocks,
Yeah.
right? on that. But I just looked at it, it's 11:20.
Yes.
And
Fantastic show. Masterclass. Yoni, you got to come back.
Love it. I can talk about patriotism anytime you want me to.
We love having you on the
Thank
But
you.
you did awfully good on the real estate stuff.
Great
People-
on everything.
People really
you.
like to hear what he's like, kind of like E.F. Hutton. When Jonas speaks, people listen. At least
Jonas
I do.
Smith.
At least I do.
Oh my God.
Supervising broker of Yes Realty
Thank you.
Partners.
Thank you for having us.
Keith
Enjoy the
Smith,
weekend.
Executive producer of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Both of them are trusted advisors in the game we call real estate, and folks that you should certainly reach out to help you buy and sell a house, guys.
Thank
Yes
you.
Realty Partners.
Next Friday.
Don't give up on this country. That's all I'm saying, guys. Love this country as much as
Amen.
you can give it. That's all. Yes, I'm
Ne-
sorry.
It's okay, Mrs. Smith. Next Friday, Greg Slater and Dave Norris.
Get out of town.
Cool.
Yeah, they're
Nice.
going to join us. They want to talk a little bit about the Charlottesville Association of Realtors
Foundation.
but don't tell them we're going to pivot to real estate.
Dave Norris and Greg Slater. That's a big show. Real Talk with Keith Smith, archive wherever you guys get your podcasting and social media content. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera. We appreciate you watching and listening to the show. And ladies and gentlemen, stay cool out there. The
Yes,
Island Seaville show
absolutely.
up at 12:30 p.m. So long, everybody.
Have a good day. Take care.
Yona, that was
Thanks,
Thank you.
Shotzi. I love you,
I'm
baby.
still
Thank you.
off.